This video will show you how to replace the front brake flex hose on a Toyota Matrix. This will be located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. To gain access to our front brake flex hose, let's remove our wheel. To do that, safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. After we've completed that, we're going to remove all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts so we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our brakes and our caliper. Along the back side of the caliper is our bleeder screw. Let's make our way there. Now along the back side here, this is where we can see our bleeder screw. Commonly, you're going to have a bleeder screw cover. Just go ahead and take hold of that, remove it. Use an 8mm for the bleeder screw. You can tell that I've used some penetrant here. We have our collection receptacle under here, and of course, hand and eye protection at all times. Now I can see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out of here. This is exactly what I'm looking for. This confirms that our caliper is still in good usable order. In the passenger compartment, we're going to take a pry bar. I'm going to go up against my brake pedal, up against the seat, and now I'm pressing the seat forward. You can see that that does fully depress my brake pedal. Let's continue on. Now that we have pressure on that brake pedal, let's go ahead and close that bleeder screw. We're making our way to the banjo bolt next. This is the bolt that holds our flex hose to the caliper. When you do remove this, typically fluid will make its way out. We'll be using a 14mm. Now, just a quick inspection of that banjo bolt. We need to confirm that we do not have a pre-existing gasket on the banjo bolt itself. If you do see one, you need to remove it. We never reuse our gaskets. Go ahead and take hold of that flex hose. We can pull that away from the caliper. Now on the flex hose, I can see that I still have both of my gaskets here. If you do not see both of the gaskets, you definitely need to confirm that you do not have one on the back side of the caliper. Now we can follow the flex hose up to its next mounting point along the back side of our front strut. Let's follow the flex hose up now. We can see the mounting point attached to our front strut. We can remove our 14mm bolt before moving our way up towards our brake line next. We'll clean our mounting bolt, give it a thorough inspection. Go ahead and take hold of that flex hose. You should be able to separate it from this area. Now we can follow the flex hose all the way up to that brake line as I had mentioned. Now we're all the way up at the body of the vehicle. We can see where our flex hose connects to our brake line. There's a bracket in between. I'm going to be using a 10mm for my brake line fitting. Now it's common for that fitting to be stuck on the brake line. If that is the case, we do not want to cause any damage to our brake line and twist it in any way. Now as you can see, my brake line is stuck in my fitting. Like I mentioned, this is common. Some good news about this is we can unscrew our flex hose from the line without causing any damage. Let's remove the clip. Up along the top of the bracket is where we can see our small metal clip. It has an ear. Typically, I like to try to start moving it with a pry bar, and then you should be able to grab onto it with some pliers to fully remove it. Now that I have that off of there, just a quick inspection to make sure it's not rotted, weak, or damaged. This looks like it's still in good usable order. Now at this point, let's make sure we have the brake flex hose in an area that we can carefully start pulling it down just enough that we can twist it counterclockwise, removing it from our brake line fitting. We'll just tap this to break it free. There it is, friend. Now, prior to installation of any brand new part, of course we need to clean and inspect our mounting surfaces. We've already cleaned and inspected our caliper, but up along the top bracket on the body of the vehicle, we need to make sure the bracket itself is still in good condition and also our brake line and fitting. For this, I'm going to be using a wire brush. We'll be careful not to get anything inside of the braking system. Now it's time to install the brand new front brake flex hose. When installing this, we'll just have a quick look up along the top. You can tell that it is circular, but it does have two flat sides. And if you are looking at the bracket attached to the body of the vehicle, you're going to find that it has the exact same setup here. One quick note about this is we do have the bracket in the center of the flex hose. During the installation, that bracket bolt hole needs to be facing down. So when this is in the proper orientation, the words on the flex hose will be facing out towards us. So now typically you could spin that brake line fitting. Ours is stuck, so I'm just going to take my brake line fitting and my brake hose. I'm turning the brake hose. We're turning this clockwise as far as possible. Let's just take that flex hose and bring it behind our front strut. With that tucked behind the front strut, we'll take hold of our flex hose. We're going to pivot it as necessary so we can slide it up towards our bracket. After that, we can install our locking clip up along the top. Let's tap that into position. Make sure the flex hose is secured. Tighten the brake line fitting. Right there is bottomed out. We're just going to take it a little bit further here. We want to make sure that we're properly seated so we do not have a brake fluid leak here. Let's get our flex hose in the bracket on our front strut. We'll go ahead and start in the mounting bolt for that and snug it up. Now down at the caliper, let's focus on our banjo bolt. I've installed one of my brand new gaskets. We'll just slide it all the way up to the base of the banjo bolt. Continuing on, we're going to take the banjo bolt with that gasket and we'll slide it through our brake flex hose. We can see we have this small hooked area. Let's take the other gasket and we'll slide that in place on the other side. Now we can take this entire thing. We're going to get the banjo bolt aligned with its corresponding hole, but we also have our alignment tab. You know what to do here. Just go ahead and line everything up and we'll snug it up. Now for these banjo bolts, when you go to tighten them, we need to make sure we're gently squishing each one of our two gaskets. This is how it's going to seal the system. So once it's bottomed out, just take it a tiny bit further. We'll double check to make sure the hose is completely secured. It's definitely not twisted in any way that's going to restrict brake fluid. Let's remove our pry bar. Now that we have that removed, we're back inside the wheel well. We'll look at that caliper. Go ahead and open up your bleeder screw again. Now at this point, we need to wait until we see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out of our bleeder screw. Now at this point, I definitely have a good gravity bleed here. We have a lot of fluid making its way out, so we can close this. After you finish gravity bleeding the system, the next thing you want to do is make your way into the passenger compartment. You're going to try to pump up the brake pedal. Make sure it feels firm. If it feels like it's soft and squishy, you might still have air trapped in the system somewhere. If that is the case, continue on with a manual brake bleed. Otherwise, go ahead and clean up your mess in this area, reinstall your bleeder screw cover and your wheel. One last quick inspection in this area and we can reinstall our wheel. Now that I have my wheel in place, I'm going to start on all 5 of my 21mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out, get the wheel safely on the ground, and torque each of them to 76 foot-pounds. Now I have the wheel safely on the ground. I'm going to be torquing each one of my lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Locate your master cylinder along the driver's side of your engine compartment. We're going to clean along the top of the master cylinder close to where our cap is. Make sure there's no miscellaneous debris here. Take hold of that cap. We're going to lift it up and away. Just a quick inspection, make sure there's no damage. Continuing on, we need to remove fluid from inside of the master cylinder reservoir. Now when I do this, I only like to remove the fluid from inside the plastic portion of the master cylinder. There is a small drain plug at the bottom of the master cylinder, which is where we're going to start the draining process. I'm using a 10mm for my drain plug along the bottom here. We have our collection receptacle and of course hand and eye protection. Now during this draining process, we need to remove as much fluid as we can from the plastic portion of the reservoir. But we need to make sure that we do not get any air in the other portion of the master cylinder. So I'm just going to install my drain plug now before I get to the point that I've gone too far. Otherwise, you're going to have to bench bleed your master cylinder. We'll make sure our drain plug's nice and tight. Just a light squeeze on that drain plug gasket. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just taking it a tiny bit further here. We do not want to cause any damage. Let's go ahead and clean up our mess in this area. We're going to top off our master cylinder. A quick note about doing this job: if you get brake fluid on any painted surface, it is corrosive. You want to make sure you rinse it off with some clean water. We have our clean .3 brake fluid. Let's top this off. All right, so we're at our maximum line now. Let's go ahead and install our master cylinder cover here. Now that we have the master cylinder topped off, we're going to start bleeding our brakes. We have to remove each and every one of our wheels. We're going to start at the passenger side rear wheel. Once you've bled that wheel, you're going to go to the driver's side front. After you've completed that, stop up at the master cylinder and make sure you top it off up to the maximum line again. After you've completed that, you're going to the driver's side rear, and then you're ending at the passenger side front. Once you've completed bleeding all of the brakes, you need to make sure you top off that master cylinder the last time. We're at the passenger side rear. We're going to start our bleeding process. If you have a bleeder screw cover, just go ahead and remove that now. We're going to be using a 10mm for our bleeder screw. Now I have a second person inside of the vehicle, and they're going to help me bleed the brakes. The person inside of the vehicle is going to pump up the brake pedal approximately 3 to 5 times and hold it. While they're holding it, I'm going to open up my bleeder screw. We're watching to see a steady trickle of clean fluid making its way out with no air. I got my tool on here. Got my hose. Go ahead and pump, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. Now, as you can tell, we did this several times, and I had only clean fluid making its way out, definitely no air bubbles. I'm sure that I've removed all the air from in my braking system on this side of the vehicle. Now, as I mentioned before, we need to go to the driver's side front. We're going to repeat the bleeding process. After that, we have to make our way to that master cylinder. Let's go ahead and clean up our mess in this area real quick, reinstall our bleeder screw cover. We want to make sure this is clean so we can double check for brake fluid leaks when we're done this process. Now we're at the driver's side front. I've got my 8mm for my bleeder screw. Let's go ahead and repeat the process here. Go ahead and pump, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. Perfect. You can release. Thank you. Now, as you saw, clean brake fluid making its way out. Definitely no air bubbles. We'll clean our mess. We're making our way to that master cylinder to top it off. This bleeder screw did not have a bleeder screw cover, so I won't be installing one here. We'll open our master cylinder cap here, top it off with our clean .3 brake fluid. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the sequence continuing on from here will next be we're moving to the driver's side rear. After you've bled that wheel cylinder along the backside, you're going to the passenger side front. Go ahead and bleed that caliper as well. After that, you need to make sure you top off the master cylinder one more time. I'm going to do that next, and we'll continue with that master cylinder. I finished bleeding those brakes, so now I'm back at the master cylinder. As you can tell, my fluid is a little low here. You know what to do. Clean .3 brake fluid. Let's top it off. We have our maximum line. The level looks perfect here. Reinstall the cap. Make sure it's properly secured so no moisture or debris make its way inside your braking system. We're just going to clean any mess from this area. Okay, friend, we finished bleeding our brakes and we fully topped off the master cylinder. Just double check to make sure you've cleaned any mess. You're going to torque each one of the wheel lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. After that, just pump up the brake pedal. You want to confirm it's still firm and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching. Okay, friend, we finished our installation and we've bled our brakes. The next thing you need to do is make sure you make your way into the passenger compartment. You're going to pump up the brake pedal, confirm it feels firm. After that, you can go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.